Monday, which means we are moving on to our next Multicultural Monday. And today is Elias's Day. Elias, in all the ingredients. I honestly don't know what it's called. Your mom.
Medivnyk.
What is it?
Medivnyk. That's the Ukrainian. It's a honey cake.
Nice. So Medivnyk? Medivnyk. Guys, try saying that. Medivnyk. So a honey cake. That's what we're going to be having today, which is really exciting. So Elias brought all of the ingredients and the stuff that we may need. That's okay. All right. So what we're going to do is first we're going to learn a little bit about the Ukrainian culture, some of the different things. And then we will move on to the recipe. Now the recipe is a little different because it's not, you know how I did kind of like a math problem? I did math problems to figure out the recipe. Remember we did that with the potato pancakes? I didn't know the recipe until like a half hour ago. So I couldn't do that because I didn't have the recipe. So we're just going to kind of make it, okay?
Yay.
So let's learn a little bit about the Ukrainian culture. When I was researching it, it's very interesting, a bunch of the stuff I saw. So, Ukraine is kind of in the background, an example of maybe like a city or a town I found online. And that is the Ukrainian flag, yellow and blue, a nice little simple flag. So the geography, and I made sure I cited my source too, like we've been doing, and I actually did find this on Kittle.co. I try to use some of the sources that you guys use for your research. Right here is where the Ukraine is located. We are about right here. So we're about an ocean away, okay? And Ukraine is a country in Eastern Europe. Here's Europe right here. Ukraine has some of the richest farmland in Europe, so I kind of compared that to Ireland. They had a lot of that greenery. They called it the Emerald Isle. So I made a comparison with that, which I thought was kind of cool. And the population's over 44 million people, which is really great. I believe that's a lot more than Ireland. I think Ireland was like 4 million, which is really cool. So some of the history, now I was researching some of the history, and it has, the Ukrainian culture has a really, really sad history, okay? So the past is really, really sad, and the reason why is there were a lot of natural resources. Someone give me an example of a natural resource. What is a natural resource? Yeah, Tyler, give me an example.
Like trees and stuff.
Yeah, it's something that comes from nature you can replenish. You can plant again, right? Renewable resources and natural resources kind of go hand in hand. So natural resources, like you said, water, like rivers, maybe there's like fish in the rivers. Wood we use to make furniture, to heat our homes, stuff like that. So they had a lot of farmland, a lot of those natural resources, and that made it so a lot of people tried to invade Ukraine. Okay, so a lot of people came and tried to take over those resources, to take over the land. So the people of Ukraine rebelled. They fought against. What does rebelled mean? What do you think? To rebel. What do we think? Now, if we don't know the word, I'm going to keep reading. The people of Ukraine rebelled and fought against these invaders. What could rebelled mean, Blakey?
Maybe stand their ground.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is. It's standing your ground. It's kind of going against someone, right? It's going kind of the opposite way. So yeah, they rebelled and fought against these people trying to take over Ukraine. And a leader, unfortunately, named Joseph Stalin, he planned a famine to stop these Ukrainian people from fighting back. So a famine, does anyone know what a famine is? So a famine is like taking all of the food away. Okay, where you can't really eat. There's like no food available. And if you can't eat, what's going to happen? You're going to starve to death. You're going to die. 5 million people ended up dying because of it. That's a lot of people. Yeah, it was really, really bad. But now, like I said, the past is really, really sad. But They are independent. They gained their independence, Ukrainian people, and they live freely, no more invaders. They don't have to rebel, no more famines. So they are happy as clams now in Eastern Europe. So some of the interesting facts I looked up. Has anyone here ever heard of Chernobyl?
No.
Okay, so Chernobyl is a place in Ukraine where they had this power plant, okay? And it was a nuclear power plant, so it had some materials in it that are, you know, you can't really be too close touching. It's hard to explain really, but they ended up having an explosion, okay? It was the world's worst nuclear power plant explosion ever, okay? So what happened was when it exploded, it let off all of these gases and let off something called radiation into the air. And it caused people to have to literally evacuate from this city in Ukraine, okay? You still, to this day, cannot go to this city where Chernobyl happened. This happened years ago. You cannot go there for a long period of time because there's still radiation there.
What?
Yeah. And you can't be exposed to radiation. Really bad things can happen health-wise for you. You cannot be exposed to that. So you can only go visit this city still today, only for like a half an hour, or you get exposed to this radiation. It was the worst thing that could have happened. And it exploded because it wasn't built correctly, which is crazy. It just wasn't built right.
That's interesting.
It is super interesting. It's really sad too. Some of the pictures you can see online are of all these buildings. Like people had to just up and leave. So homes were just left, schools, like their books were still open, and they had to literally just flee from this city. Tyler.
Now I'm confused. How long does radiation even last?
Well, it depends on how bad it was. And there was so much in this power plant that exploded for a long time. That's why. So I don't know, maybe it's not as bad as it was when it first exploded, but you still can't stay there that long because there's still radiation there. So I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure how long it lasts, but if it's enough of it, I feel like a long time, right? Yeah, Ethan.
I kind of have a connection.
Yeah.
My mom's boyfriend's niece's boyfriend, he had a friend that worked at a kind of a plant like this.
Okay.
And was inside, he was wearing a gas mask and
Yeah.
everything, and he like created the gases and stuff.
Yeah.
And when he was taking off his mask, or his mask had fallen off, and he had fainted and ended up passing away.
Yeah, so it's really serious stuff with the power plants, like the gases that it lets off. You have to wear those masks to protect yourself. Yeah, absolutely. One more. Go ahead, Maddie.
So no one can live there anymore?
No, you cannot live there. Yeah, still to this day. It's crazy. I've watched a lot of documentaries on this, on Chernobyl, because it's so interesting to me. But I just didn't want to spend too much time on it because it's kind of hard to explain on exactly what happened, but it wasn't built right and it ended up exploding. And someone that was kind of in charge of the power plant that night that it exploded didn't know what they were doing. And unfortunately, it caused a lot of really bad things to happen. So the next part, Ukrainian is the official language, although people speak Russian, Hungarian, Romanian, and Polish in Ukraine, but Ukrainian is the official language. This is also an example of the money that they use. I thought it was interesting because we don't have a $500 bill, but I thought it was interesting because it does look like our money with having like a historical figure on our dollars, but they're just different people. It definitely looks different. And football, they call it football, but it's actually soccer is the most popular sport in Ukraine. So they call it football, but it's actually soccer. We call football something else. So the language.
Hello my dears, here's Ola and my blog about Ukraine. I found that I have a lot of complicated lessons on my YouTube channel about Ukrainian language, but at the same time I don't have simple basic Ukrainian phrases. So in this video I will teach you simple Ukrainian phrases that will help you in any situation. So the first one. Привіт. Привіт.
So that means hi. So let's try that. Привіт. Привіт means hi.
Добрий ранок. Добрий ранок.
Dobry rano means good morning. And that's how it's actually spelled in Ukrainian. And that's what it kind of looks like in
How do you say it?
Dobry rano.
Добрий день.
Добрий день.
Добрий день. Добрий вечір.
Добрий
Добрий
вечір.
вечір.
Okay, so those were just a couple. I like to try to practice out the different languages because it's so different than how we talk. And I think it's so cool. I always wanted to learn a different language. So I thought that was cool just looking at a couple of them. Some of the traditions and holidays, they have Malanka, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, which just, it will be happening this week, is their new year. We celebrate in comparison on January 1st. They celebrate on January 13th. So it is a vivid and loud festival with quirky costumes, songs, and acting. So this is actually a picture from their festival, the Malanka. Malanka. Yeah, I mean, and to us, maybe they are, but they're really important to their culture, which is interesting. Now, the other holiday or tradition I saw was Maznitsia, which is actually Butter Week, which I'm like, I need to go to Ukraine during Butter Week because, hi, I love butter. So this is an ancient Eastern Slavic holiday that celebrates the end of winter and celebrates and welcomes spring, which is interesting. So they'll be having that soon, hopefully. And I think that was all that I had for Ukraine. So this one and the ones from now on, the Multicultural Mondays, are a bit shorter because obviously I don't have any Ukrainian dances or anything that I do. That's why Ireland took a little longer because I could Irish dance. But we are now going to move into the recipe portion of the day. So let me just grab my class dojo where Elias's mom had sent the recipes, yeah? So we are going to make, can you say it one more time, Elias? What was it?
Medivnyk, also known as honey cake.
Nice. So you do need to bake this in the oven, and I will do that during the time that you guys are going to.
Jim is the
Yep.
double special?
Yeah, thank goodness we have double special today.
Yeah. Yeah,
We have extra time. So
you don't like to bake.
I don't like to bake, but I like to bake when it comes to other people's countries. I think that's really cool. So
you like baking, but also don't.
yeah, it depends on what I'm baking. All right.
Why is it so cold in here?
Because Miss Little had to open the door for the. Yeah, twins.
All right. So volunteers, I do need. Elias is going to be the first one though because he's going to come up here and pour the cake mix, which I feel as though is the most important part of this since it's cake, right? So I'm actually going to take this out. All right, sir, go ahead and pour that in for us. Yep, all of it.
Miss Little,
Yeah.
shouldn't Elias pick who comes up?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I like that better.
I decided.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Let's just do it. There we go. All right, Elias, who's next? I need someone to do the vinegar.
I love this vinegar. It's
All right, vinegar. We need 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons of vinegar.
All right,
Somehow it smells.
you hold it for me. I'm gonna pour.
That's white vinegar.
Nico, plug your nose. No. I love
Thank
it.
goodness for our masks. Okay, put it right up close to my.
Don't breathe in the gas.
Okay,
I
pour.
love vinegar. I know, it's so good. Vinegar is the worst thing to say.
Thank you, dear. All right, Elias, I need someone. All right, Blakey, you are going to. Hold on. Let me just mix this quick, and then you're going to add in the sour cream. And we need.
I love sour.
We need 16 ounces of sour cream. There's literally, so this entire thing. That's a lot of sour cream. That's crazy. Interesting. So you can go ahead and just start scooping that down. Perfect.
What? My mom.
You got it. Thank you, dear. Go on. All right. All right. So now, Elias, we need to put in the eggs.
Oh no! I helped my brother.
Oh, I always remember.
I always help.
I miss little. Isn't there a flower plant in Middleport?
Yes, but it's not like that. That's a nuclear power plant. That's a bit different than the one in Middleport. So you're completely fine. Don't worry about it. All right. So now with the eggs, we need 8 eggs. So I'm going to give you some hand sanitizer because you're going to maybe touch the eggs. Okay.
High five. So, have you ever heard of
Flags are cracking. I'm going to help you too because we need 8 of them.
High five? Too slow.
1. And you can just put it right. Perfect. Yep. 3, 4.
I've nothing with
5, 6.
Oh, we got ordered. 7. Oh wait, no,
7, 8. That's why I like to call it teamwork. Oh my God. There we go. Oh, thank you, dear. You can go wash your hands. All right, and the last thing we need. Oh, I was like, what? Is the honey. Microwave for 30 seconds. Can't do that. So here's the hoping it works without doing that. So I'm actually just going to have kind of like all the honey in there.
Teddy bear.
I'm gonna have someone do maybe like up to here. I'll let you know when to stop. Go ahead, Elias. Madeline. All right. Yep. And I will just.
Tap the bottom of
All right. So pour slow because it's really thick. Yep. Keep pouring. All right. Lift up. A little more. A little more. Should be good. Beautiful. No, I wanted to do exactly 1 cup. I'll close to it. All right, so that was the last ingredient we needed. All we have to do now is whisk it. Now, I will be baking this while you guys are in special. We will try it after special.
It's on the thing.
It's going to
Oh
be.
my gosh, it actually looks a little bit like ice cream.
It definitely doesn't taste.
So is this gonna be our snack?
Yep, this will be our snack. Yep, unless you have.
Basically just whipped
You can have more snack if you'd like.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that's an issue
You guys need to try it.
is I don't have. I should have grabbed it. Hold on.
Did you leave that recording, Miss Little?
No.
No, she just turned.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, because she turned it on when we got back. It actually just went in. Why you touched it never turned it on?
No, day 4.
Hello.
No, yeah.
And we need to
Practice day 4, and then we have band rehearsal at 2.
Okay, it says not to over whisk it, which I probably would do.
Guess what? I'm doing Julie now. It's my birthday is on Monday. I'm gonna bring my ice cream. Ice cream. Is that for
Hi there. Are you still in the
My
PTA
birthday.
room?
my
Yeah.
birthday?
Could you possibly grab me the butter that my plant butter? I would very much so appreciate that. Whenever you have a chance. Yeah, you just do that because I'm still whisking. So that is fine. Maybe one of the fridges. Maybe near the almond milk.
This little videotaping us.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So, someone tell me one thing that they learned about from the Ukrainian culture. Priscilla.
Their language.
The language. What did you learn about it?
That it's different from our language, and it's spelled differently, and it looks different.
Yeah, very different. It's fun to try. It was. I thought it was a lot easier than the Irish language, like speaking in the Irish, trying to do the Irish ones. I thought it was a bit easier for me. I don't know about anyone else, but
was for me.
yeah, I thought it was a bit easier for me, so I'm not sure.
It's the easiest for me because I'm part of it.
Yeah, exactly, because you're part Ukraine. Do you know by chance, Elias, who is Ukrainian? Is it you? I think I asked you this.
I'm pretty sure it's my dad.
Your dad? Okay, cool. Very cool. All right, go ahead, Peyton.
The money.
Oh, the money. And what'd you learn about the money?
That they make it in 500s, and it's like really different from ours.
Yeah, it's a lot different than ours. There are some similarities, but it definitely looks a lot different. They have some of that language in there too.
Yeah, and it has like different colors.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. Go ahead, Nico.
I learned that a nuclear power plant exploded. It's probably still has radiation for months. But also, when did the nuclear power plant explode?
When did it explode? Good question. Hold on.
If it exploded in the 19s, that means it's been cooling down for a couple hundred years. Basically, time of the nuke. Because if a nuke goes down, it would explode a lot, but the radiation would be way too much.
1986.
1986, then that means it has been on cool down for around 80 years.
Yep, and it still has radiation.
But it's basically the time of nuke to cool down. About 40 years later? That's how dangerous they are. Because also,
Very
products
dangerous.
they should have been making could be like uranium and nuclear power waste. So that could be also a reason why.
Yep.
And that's also another reason why it could have been on cool down. That's how much.
Yep. It is the world's worst nuclear power plant explosion ever. Ever. All right. Yes, Robert. Oh, look at that. She probably knows about it if you ask her. Yes, Stella.
I learned that that the power plant exploded. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting.
I also have a question for that. Did they take their pets with them?
Oh yeah, I'm assuming they did. I mean, maybe some people didn't, but I'm sure
Maybe
they
they just
did.
picked up their snake and just
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, Easton.
put the snake on the leash.
Bad history back in the day of like starvation. Like did they starve the people that were trying to steal their land, or the people that were at their land?
No, so the people that were trying to steal it decided, hey, we're gonna make the people that we're trying to steal it from, the Ukrainian people, we're gonna make them all starve. So they not only were trying to steal it, they also decided to starve them, which is horrific. So
How did that happen though? Like they stole every little bit of food?
yeah, I'm not sure exactly how it happened. I could look further into it. They either could have taken it, they could have charged them for it so much so that they couldn't afford it. That's one thing. They could have destroyed like crops or different parts of their land that they maybe tried to grow the food. There's a lot of ways you can create a famine like that. So those were probably some of the ways. Yeah, and that was Joseph Stalin that did that. Hello. Today we made Medivnyk. I completely did not pronounce that right. But today was one of our students, Elias Dennis's day for Ukraine. And his mother, Miss Dennis, was kind enough to volunteer to donate the ingredients for our honey cake, or That word I just pronounced, that was the Ukraine word for it. So the last thing I'm doing, so we added all the ingredients in the last shot you guys just saw. The kids are at special. I'm trying to frost this really quick. And plate it for the kids. So I went and I baked it for like 45 minutes. I think our oven's a little old because the recipe said to just do it for 30, but our oven's a little old, so that's okay. So I'm adding some cream cheese frosting on the top, and Miss Dennis had written on the instructions that this is actually an 8-layered cake where it has layers of the cream cheese frosting in the middle of it, which sounds amazing, which I'm happy she just sent this in because we don't have time to do 8 layers, but that does sound amazing. I think that this is going to go a lot better than the potato pancakes we made last week, because this is pretty much just cake, but honey. And the interesting thing was that it had 16 ounces of sour cream. That was kind of interesting, something I've never baked with a cake. So I'm interested on how it's going to taste, and the kids get to try it in about 10 minutes after I plate it all, and I picked them up from special. So this is Ukrainian honey cake that I can't pronounce, but I'll have Elias do it when he gets back, but I did in the beginning. And I'll take a video of when they try it. All right,
This is good.
how are we feeling about it? Does anyone not like it?
I just do it like this.
Okay, Tyler's little. And is it okay if we don't like it? Yeah, that's okay. We are just learning from different cultures, the different things they make. It is definitely different than any cake I've had before.
Yeah.
Thought that was really cool. And boys and girls, what do we say to Miss Dennis? Thank you. And to Elias, too. So thank you, Elias. Thank you. All right. And Elias, how do you say it again?
Medivnyk.
Medivnyk. I said it wrong earlier. But yes, Medivnyk. So this is your honey cake. Okay.
Ma